Nobody can prove exactly how the Earth was formed, but most scientists today agree on how they think it was formed. Scientists theorize that the Earth is about one-third the age of the universe, which would make Earth about 4.5 billion years old. The Earth hasn't always been what it is today, though. At first, it didn't even have oceans, continents, or life. To get where it is today, the Earth has gone through a very long and slow process, beginning with no sign of life and becoming what it is today. I'm going to be telling you about that process in chronological order of time periods, and I will also cover the climate and life forms of Earth during those time periods. From the time Earth was formed about 4.5 billion years ago to about 3.9 billion years ago is known as the Hadean Era. During the Hadean Era, there was no life on Earth, and it was nothing like we know it as today. Much of Earth's surface during this time period was covered with volcanoes, lava, and very, very hot oceans that couldn't even sustain life. There wasn't much of an atmosphere at this time either. It was mostly composed of hot carbon dioxide and other harmful and deadly fumes from the volcanoes. As the Earth's temperature cooled over time, it transitioned into what is known as the Archean Era. This era started about 3.9 billion years ago and ended about 2.5 billion years ago. During this era, the temperature of the Earth cooled down considerably and continents began to form. Another result of the overall cooling of the Earth was that the first life forms began to appear, and they were just single-celled organisms, but they are very important in Earth's history because they eventually will evolve into more complex organisms as the Earth continues its life cycle. When the Archean era ended roughly 2.5 billion years ago, the Proterozoic era began and lasted until around 540 million years ago. During this era, the single-celled organisms of the Archean era started to evolve into more complex multi-celled organisms such as plants and sponges. According to the University of California Museum of Paleontology's online article about the Proterozoic era in 2009, some scientists believe that the first animals appeared during this period as well, but this theory isn't widely accepted due to a poor atmosphere to protect them from radiation. The sponges and plants that started to appear during this era produce a lot of oxygen, which found its way into the atmosphere. This helped form the atmosphere that would protect life on Earth, life on Earth in the future from radiation, and it is the atmosphere that the Earth still has to this day. Because the atmosphere that developed in the Proterozoic era, there was an explosion of new life forms known as the Cambrian explosion. The Cambrian explosion marked the beginning of the Phanerozoic era. This era is broken down into many different time periods and is the current era of the Earth. A lot has happened during the Phanerozoic era. All the previously formed continents merged into one supercontinent called Pangaea, which helped the evolution of life because all the land animals had access to so much land and there was no oceans between the continents. Beginning of this era, vertebrates started to dominate the world's oceans. Very slowly over the past 540 million years, however, life has continued to evolve from just water life into land animals. Life outside the ocean started with basic plants on land and then developed into things like insects, small amphibians, and small reptiles. Slowly, over time, these amphibians and reptiles eventually evolved into what we know as dinosaurs. The era of the dinosaurs lasted quite a while until what National Geographic's online article about dinosaur extinction said to be a very large meteor that struck the Earth and wiped out almost all life forms on Earth. After this extinction event is when more commonly recognized animals like livestock, deer, rabbits, that sort of thing started to appear. Soon to follow that, humans begin to evolve and rise to the top of the food chain. This eventually leads into the world as we know it today. As you can tell, the Earth formed through a very long and slow process. It started with a very hot volcano lava-covered Earth in the Hadean era, cooling down and supporting the most basic life forms during the Archean era, and advancing into the Proterozoic era, where life forms started to become more advanced, and finally shifting into the Phanerozoic era, which is the era we are in right now. Thanks.